You're listening to the One Step Deeper podcast with your host, Jimmy Moore and Brittany Davis. OneStepDeeperPodcast.com.
I am very tired.
Yes. You were up at what, 2:30 today?
2 o'clock.
2 a.m. And then you were at the gym circa 2:15, 2:30.
Yeah.
You got home, took care of Wild Man on his way out the door, and then you started working, and 30 seconds later...
Yeah. I started writing, and I got about 300 words in, and I was just like, okay, I have to go back to sleep. And so I went to lay back down, but sleep doesn't come easy when the little ones are knocking on you. So,
Mom.
Mom, we don't care that you woke up at 2 a.m. We don't care. So, yeah, I haven't gotten much sleep after that. So, funny thing that we're talking about pushing yourself today, because that is exactly what is happening today on all the levels.
Yes, and I had an incident happen on my walk today. I'm on. What day are you on?
59
now. So by the time this airs, you will be days away from being done. I'm on day 14 of my sabbatical to 50, and I was out on my walk today doing my little Instagram live. Look, always in. I'm yep. And suddenly a bee flies into my ear, or I keep calling it a bee. It's a wasp, actually. Went into my ear. I could feel it moving around in there, and I start slapping all over the side of my ear. I probably look like a madman to people driving down the road. Halfway point. So I'm going at a pretty good. Oh shit! Wow, that thing started stinging the shit. It ended up like getting me really good. I mean, it's really red, I'm sure, but I got stung in the ear. That sucked.
Yeah, that sucked.
And everybody on the live was like, just go home, put some ice on it. It's okay. You don't have to push yourself. We understand. I'm like, Like literally where it happened, Brittany, I was 50 feet from my turnaround point anyway.
Right.
And so down where I was, I'm like, no, I'm going to 50 more feet and I'm going to turn around. But like I'm sitting there going, ow. It was just, that was miserable. But it was good for what we're talking about here today in episode 40. Push harder and then knowing when not to push so hard. But today I was okay pushing harder, and you've had to push hard. We got lots to say on today's episode. So guys, OneStepDeeperPodcast.com is the official website. Go check us out. You can see all the past episodes of audio and video there. And this is debuting on Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern time over on YouTube. Just type in a keyword, One Step Deeper. You will find the show. Lots of great people interact there on Sundays, so go join the fun. If you're not a YouTube person, we do put it up on IGTV as well as on Facebook. Again, put in One Step Deeper. It'll just pop up. You'll see it on both of those formats. You'll find the show there. Then on Mondays, we are a traditional podcast where you can listen to this on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Alexa, all of the ways that you can listen wherever you listen to podcasts. And while you're there listening to the podcast, leave us a review, especially on Apple. We have exactly one like written out review, but we got like 17 or 18 like where people like gave it a star rating. But like one, come on. It doesn't take long, maybe a couple of minutes. If I listen to a podcast and I really vibe with that podcast, I'm writing three sentences done telling people what it's about. It really does help out podcasts. And now that we're at episode 40, we are off to the races, my dear. But yes, this is perfect timing for this topic. When I brought up this topic, I'm like, you're still in 75 hard. I'm in the midst of the very beginning. You're at the end of yours. I'm at the very beginning of my sabbatical to 50. We know a little thing or two, both of us, about pushing harder and knowing when to and when not to. So what was your initial thought when I brought this one up? Because I know you had this phrase that you like to say, when things get hard, you
push harder.
Push harder. Is that wise always?
Yes, with a little caveat of pushing yourself doesn't always look the same. And every single day, even when it's hard, I continue to push myself, just perhaps in a different way. So physically, and you guys, I'm still sitting on a heating pad. I've shared this several weeks in a row. I'm still having trouble with my back. It is remarkable how much better it is, but it's still there. And I can't push myself on certain things. I still can't deadlift. I still can't bend over and pick anything up. There's still limitations there. And so I'm not going to be stupid and push myself to do a deadlift just for the sake of doing it. But I know that I can get on the stair climber and climb 30, 40, 50, 100 flights of steps, and that's not going to hurt my back. And I can push myself there instead of over here. So yes, knowing when to back off. But for me, it's not as much about backing off. It's getting creative and pushing yourself in a different way if this area in your life is saying no.
Well, look, I love the Stairmaster thing you're doing, because two of the areas you have been very proud of, and she brags to me all the time about this. She sends me pictures of one, not the other, is your calves. You have built some really nice definition of your calves. And then the one you don't send me pictures of, and please don't, is your butt gap. So the Stairmaster helps with both of those.
Yes, I am a woman, and I do enjoy making that area look bigger for nobody else but myself. But yes, absolutely been pushing myself there.
Wildman is not complaining, I promise.
No, of course he made his comments today because I was, sad, and because I was pushing myself, but and we'll get into this more, I'm sure, but as you push yourself, sometimes you don't see the results that you think you're going to see.
Yes.
And so you convince yourself that, well, maybe I'm not pushing hard enough, either that, or look, I pushed hard, I did the thing, and it's still not working, which is your brain telling you some bullshit. Okay, so that's what happened today. While man was having to listen to me, he's like, listen, I know you don't want to believe me, but I'm telling you, there's a difference. He just gave me the eyes, there's the difference. So, I had to listen to him and realize that I am pushing myself really hard. And maybe the ways that I thought I would have progress and I thought that I would see change hasn't happened. But I have to look and focus in on all the other areas that I am seeing that change.
What's that phrase you've said? Expectations fuel frustrations. We've said that a few times on different episodes. I know I'm throwing your own words back at you now.
I love it. Give it to me. I absolutely love it.
But last week after we got done recording, I almost immediately ran out of the studio, turned off the lights, went over to the other and went right out the door and started doing my second walk, because I was really in that really need to kind of push myself mode. And what I found of doing that was I was miserable. Other than having my best friend on there with me, you saw me in pain, and I hadn't even injured myself yet at that point. That was just pain in my back and just general achiness. And then I got in an accident as of the recording of this over the weekend. These group of runners blew by me, and I actually was trying to get out of their way, and I slipped and skin up my knees really good. Got a good skin on there. And then I ended up twisting my left ankle and spraining it. And then my wrist, the outside part of my wrist, has been tweaked a little bit. So I had every excuse not to push.
Yeah.
Every excuse. And I took a day off to recuperate from my injuries. But guess what? The last 2 days, bam, back out there. Not even thinking about not doing it. I'm even thinking of today when we're done, getting back out there for a second walk, because I'm trying to push harder. I'm seeing results in my own push here, and I want to keep that going. It's like you push harder because you see the fruits of what that does, not just in you physically. And we're talking about a physical journey for me and you, but right here, when you push harder, you're proving to yourself. And you did that today. You had what? Let's talk about the 10-minute thing.
Let me go into this. I'm so glad because, all right, you guys already know I woke up at 2 a.m. because Wild Man was leaving at 4. I usually wake up at 4 to go to the gym. Well, he was leaving at 4, so I had to get up 2 hours before he did to go to the gym. My dad was he went on a fishing trip with my dad. My dad was like, I didn't believe she would do it. And I was like, okay, you don't know me. But I got up at 2 a.m. I got to the gym. I had done a full body workout at this point. I had already reached my 45 minutes. I had already done that portion of 75 hard that I was required to do. But I wrote it down on my own page as a goal of mine. I wanted to hit my 10-minute mile this week. That was my goal. So before the injury, before my surgery, before all that stuff that had happened to me, I was at a 10-minute mile working my way even further down. And I was really excited and really vibing about that. Well, I recently did an 11-minute mile. And I was like, okay, I have a 10-minute mile in me. And so today, tired, not wanting to push myself, I was like, we are doing this. We are doing this. So I got on, because I know if you said the treadmill at 6 miles an hour, that's a 10-minute mile. I knew that. But I have to sustain 6 mile an hour running for 10 minutes straight.
That's intense.
So, yes, very intense. And I knew it was going to take pushing myself because before I even stepped 1 foot on the treadmill, my brain was already like, you can't do this.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to do this? Just the whole time. What are you doing? You've already done your 45 minutes. You can walk out right now. You've already succeeded. You've already checked the box. What are you doing? We don't need to do anymore. And when that voice starts, that's when I'm like, I have to do it. When my brain tells me that I can't, I have to do it. And so I got on the treadmill. I set it for 6 miles an hour, and I went to going. And seconds in, my whole body is screaming, like, what are you doing? You're being so stupid right now. And Andy Frisella calls it the bitch voice. She was with me the entire freaking way, all 10 minutes of, you got to quit. Your shins are hurting. You're tired. You're so exhausted. It's 2 a.m. Nobody else is even awake right now. What are you doing with your life? And then I get to the 10 minutes and I just all but cry. And that bitch voice just shut all the way up, just done. I pushed myself through. And I realized in that moment, the only thing that has held me back this entire year was right here. And that pushing myself had extremely little to do with my physical body and had almost everything to do with my mental state and what I convinced myself I was capable of and not.
And look, I think the reason why a lot of people don't push themselves harder is they don't realize you're just barely scratching the surface of your capability. I remember one time reading a statistic about how much of our brain we actually utilize. It's something like 6%.
Yeah.
Meaning the opportunity for so much more intellectually is there. Some people much less than 6%. And a few of us, hopefully over 6%, but it's untapped. And same with when we think we're ready to tap out today, when your brain noodle started doing all the things that it did. Yes, I picked up your phrase now. Did what it did to tell you, that bitch voice telling you, Brittany, it ain't going to happen. You're just, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. When that happens and you have that propensity to want to quit, you're barely at like 40% of your ability to go. This is why, yes, it's from Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And so I knew I learned it from somewhere. I figured it was you. And so when you got that 40% and you think you're all spent, you still got 60 more percent ability to push yourself. And push yourself is what lets you make success happen. Like people whine and complain, I can't lose weight, I can't get fit, I can't do this, can't do that. All right, well, what kind of effort have you put in? Well, I tried. Okay, did you try harder? Did you push harder? Did you allow yourself to get beyond your comfort level like you did today with the bitch voice till you hit that 10-minute mile and you went,
Yes, 100%. People don't realize how good it feels to like flip yourself off. You know what I'm saying? To just like, take that, and I think that's like accumulation of my entire life of the things that people have told me. And David Goggins talks about this in his book. I highly recommend his book, Can't Hurt Me. It's absolutely incredible. And he talks about this kind of same thing that we're doing here, that, it's all in your mind. It's all in your head. And then the things that we convince ourselves that we're not good enough, or the life that we had is so hard, we'll never be able to XYZ, all of these things. And it's absolute bullshit that we tell ourselves. And listen, the last year of my life, 100% full of every excuse. I used every reason that I could. Because that's what we do. That's human nature, to find any excuse, any reason, anything to get ourselves out of doing the hard thing. It's a survival mechanism.
But to the subtitle of this episode of pushing yourself and knowing when not to, last year was not to. Like, I'm going to give you grace. Yes, there came a point where you were at that, I want to, but I can't. I want to, but I can't. Like, we talked about this before a few weeks ago, where you had the mental side was like, let's go, let's push, go. And your body's like, bruh, nah, we're not ready yet. And so I'm going to give you grace for last year. But 2021, when we hit and you were a full year beyond it and you were kind of like frustrated and wanting to do, that's when I was like, all right, Britt, we probably should talk about little things you could start. And pushing hard doesn't mean full blast intensity. Like, I'm not a runner. I admire those of you who can get out there and jog and run. Jay Moore, not a runner. And so for me, I'm kind of making it a goal. I would like to, at some point on my journey, once I get lighter in the midsection, start jogging, start maybe running. It's not something I anticipate wanting to do, but I feel like, okay, that's a down the road pushing myself harder thing. For now, it's everything I can do to walk, and especially with the twisted left ankle still kind of tender, being okay with that, trying not to injure that worse. I'm doing okay, by the way. It's not that it's hurt, but I feel like pushing yourself harder doesn't mean full blast right away to the maximum that you're going to do. It's working your way up to that maximum. But the way you work your way up is a little bit more, a little bit, what's that, 1% better each day.
Real Good Foods is one of the fastest growing frozen food companies in the U.S. Everything they make is nutrient dense, high in protein, low in carbs, and made from real food ingredients. They make food for every occasion: breakfast sandwiches, poppers, enchiladas, entrees, and pizza. So whether you're on a keto diet, trying to cut back on your carbs, or just trying to eat healthier, they make super convenient and tasty options. RealGoodFoods.com and @RealGoodFoods on social media.
1% better every single day. And so when I'm being hard on myself about last year, I'm not necessarily talking about that I should have pushed myself physically, because pushing myself physically last year would have equaled walking. That's what was pushing me last year. That's where I was. I was so low. Walking was pushing myself. But what I mean is, I spent hours and hours and hours awake, laying in bed, laying on the couch, because that's all my body could let. Like, all I could do physically, but I just sat in front of the TV, clicking away, when I could have been reading all of these books. I've proven to myself, I could have been doing something. I have proven to myself I am on book 9 in 59 days, and book 9 will be done today. Like I set a goal when I started this, I wanted to read 10 books during the 75 days. I'm going to beat that. I'm going to well over beat that.
Well, yes.
Right. And so I could have been pushing myself to learn during that time, but I was so down in my mind, and I was convincing myself, well, you can't physically do this, so you can't do anything. And that's where we get ourselves stuck, is we convince ourselves, I want to do this thing, but I can't do this thing right now, so I'm not going to do anything.
And I've been very proud of you in the midst of this. When you start having your back issues and you weren't able to really kind of do the things you want to do, you have shifted. I have never seen this in you before, but you have. You have shifted. I'm reading 250 pages today. If I can't move my body the way I want to, I'm going to move my mind the way I want to. And I was like, Brittany, you figured it out. Shift. That's how you push harder when you can't physically go. Like, when I hurt my ankle on Saturday, I thought I was going to be out of commission for a long time, a few days to really get that. And it was one day off. I took care of me. I rested a lot. And then Monday, I was right back at it. 2 days later, I was right back at it. So pushing yourself harder means that when you kind of come to this fork in the road of, all right, I can't take that one, here's another one. And you've done that.
Yeah. So pushing yourself harder, like that's where we have to like dig in of what that equals. So many of us think that means more sweat, more work, more of everything. That's not what pushing yourself harder equals. So for example, I am a perfectionist that is work driven, and I only feel success when I'm doing a thing, whether that's writing or working out or performing. I am a performance person that I need to perform to feel good about myself. So taking rest is me pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. So pushing yourself is getting out of that comfort zone. Rest is not comfortable for me. It's why I was practically destroyed mentally last year, because I was made to rest. I was made to lay down. And so I wasn't physically doing a task or a thing other than laying at the ceiling. And I had to really, really dig deep into the brain noodles last year. And it was a mess in there. But I'm so thankful for 75 hard, because you're right. I've never been able to crack the code. I've never been able to figure it out. That when I'm frustrated in this area, number one, I learned this week, frustration is the number one catalyst for learning. Yes, because when you're frustrated, you can do two things. You can give up, you can quit, or you can get creative and learn another way. And that's been where I am. I want to push myself so much because I know on the other side of comfort is where I'm going to break these things and I'm going to learn so much more. But if my body's holding me back, okay, no problem. We're going to read, okay, I don't have the time, I'm air quoting here, I don't have the time to read. I'm going to push over here, and it's like I'm going to pick one area in my life. Matter of fact, was it yesterday? I don't know. My days are running together. I sent you 2 pages in one day. I don't usually do that.
I was like, girl, you're for the book is what she's talking about.
Oh, sorry.
Running circles around me right now writing this book. I'm like, bruh, slow down. Like, I'm the writer. You're not the established writer, but you're running circles around me right now. And of course, I'm a little busy with all that I'm doing with my sabbatical. But I want to bring up something that you mentioned a while ago and kind of last year, with sitting around and not really getting to do much. And there was probably some regret there. Oh, I wish I had. And so pushing harder, some people might actually say, hey, I lost a lot of time and I regretted losing that time. So now that I have the ability, I'm going to push harder because I have to make up for that psychological regret I forced myself through. And I know my bestie really well. That's kind of what's driving you a little bit. I'm so far behind because I didn't even make up for last year yet. You're trying to make up 2 years worth in one singular year. Don't do that. If you're pushing harder, bygones are bygones, regrets are regrets. Let them go. Let this be your now. Let this be your motivation. Now, if that last year motivates you, go for it. Great. But I'm afraid it does the other thing. It just leaves your brain noodles constantly wanting more, constantly thinking, I should be doing more because I was a piece of whatever last year, even though you weren't. That's what you've convinced yourself of. So be wary that you're not pushing yourself harder out of this unrealistic kind of making up for lost time of something that you were regretful about.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up. So, Dad was on the podcast a couple episodes ago now, and I've really, really been in deep talks with him lately, and I've realized how much I am that man, just made up and down. We are the same. And we've actually kind of got to talk about this, that when you push yourself because you put expectations on you, nobody else has put them on you. You put the expectations on yourself, and you push and you push and you push and you push, you burn out and you have nothing left, and you can't give to anybody or anywhere, because instead of backing off, like I said, okay, well, I can't push here, so I'm gonna push over here. Some people go, well, I'm gonna push here and here and here and here and here and here, and there's so many ands, they eventually burn themselves out where they can't do anything. They can't even do a or. There's no more push here or there. They can't push anywhere. They have nothing left to give. And so, yeah, I've had to be very cautious, and seeing, what my dad's been going through recently has really been eye-opening for me to realize I do have to back off where I can. There's certain things I can't drop off my list. I have kids. I have a husband. I can't drop. They're not droppable things. I have to take care of those things.
What, you can't skip feeding your kids one day? Today,
No.
we're going to have unschooling and it's fasting.
Right. But this is where I learned to back off and go, okay, I don't have to be so meticulous and have the beautiful bento boxes for my kids. And I say, here's your bread, here's your peanut butter, here's your jelly. Have fun. You know what I'm saying?
I've been on the phone with you where they'll come in, mommy, I'm hungry. And you're like, so go make you something. What's the big deal? Like, you were like trying to teach them, kind of be a little independent. You don't always need mommy to be right there by your side. I'm not your, short order chef. So.
Listen, guys, like I'm a good mom. Okay?
She is a very good mom. Takes care of them 99% of the time like that. Yes.
But we have things like, mommy worked out at 2:00 in the morning and I'm very tired and I understand that you're hungry. Go make you some cereal, please. We will have a nice eggs, bacon, hash brown breakfast tomorrow when I am more rested. I had 4 hours of sleep. Have some cereal, and so this is one of those areas where I have learned to back off because I am such a control freak. Calling myself out. I'm such a control person that I feel like I have to control every area of my life. And if I don't have control in one of those areas, I automatically feel like a failure.
Yeah.
And so I have to learn to back off in those areas. And one of those is, when it comes to my kids. And I think there's a lot of societal push there with, gotta feed your kids the best foods and the organic ones and no dyes and no cereals and no milks. And I'm just like, I'm just hanging on, okay? They'll be all right, okay? I grew up on cereal. They'll be okay to have it for one day, all right? So a little bit of balance there. And I hate that too, that society, okay, here we go. Let's take this one. Society pushes us, whether we ask for it or not, and it pushes us in ways, and we take it on ourselves that we must push ourselves as a mom or push ourselves, as a friend, or we must be here and we must do all these things because society tells us so, and that's bullshit too. And we burn ourselves out being pushed in areas that we don't want to push in or we don't have to push in.
Well, and a lot of people don't have the fortitude to push back against that kind of thing. They just want to go along to get along because they don't want to be singled out, looking like the weirdo, or where I'm not the one doing the blah, blah, blah. Like I'm sure there's a lot of pressure in that realm. I've never been a parent, so I don't know what that feels like, but I'm sure watching other parents with their kids and da. Look, I've been around your kids. Those are some really good kids. And I've seen some really not good kids out there by other supposedly better equipped parents or whatever. No, you're doing a great job with them. Whatever you're doing, keep it up.
Okay.
Okay. That is called Brittany can't take a compliment. I'm used to it. Like I tell her at the end of a podcast, girl, that was amazing. You were really good. Some great points. And you're like, okay. I was just like, So I want to get back on track of the topic. So the topic is, pushing yourself harder. I think the antithesis to that, the opposite of it, is wallow. You just wallow in where you are, or wallow in the pity and wallow in the thoughts and all the things that you talk about. So wallowing for a moment, okay, give yourself some grace, wallow a little bit. But if you just wallow, you're just going to stay there. Like imagine a pig in a mud pit. Like they're just wallowing around in the mud. Are they accomplishing anything besides like making themselves dirty and maybe cooling themselves off? No. What's going to get them out of the pit? Okay, maybe there's some food over here, the little slop buckets over yonder. They have to get out of the mud pit and walk over there and actively do that. That's the pushing yourself harder. That you're in your comfort zone when you're in the wallow, when you're in that mud pit. You're all comfortable. You're enjoying it. Not knowing that you can enjoy that slop bucket all the better if you just got out of your comfort zone, push yourself a little hard. It's a little belabored, the analogy, but I think you're getting it. And walk over there and get to the food. And it's like a lot of times we just neglect the better. This is why you push yourself harder. This is why you've done 75 hard and you've had amazing results. That's why I'm doing my sabbatical to 50. we're pushing harder because we see the bigger picture of the end goal. I want to be a stud in this physical body. I want my mind to be sharper than it is now. And Brittany's like, Lord help us. Like, I have bigger picture goals that makes me push harder, makes me, when my left ankle is still tweaking, makes me get stung on my ear, and I still go. You push harder because there are bigger reasons why you're doing it.
Keto Chow is a customizable shake mix that is also perfect for cooking and baking, giving you simple, nutritionally perfect meal options. Keto Chow. Make keto easy. Discover your favorite flavor at jimmylovesketochow.com.
Yes. And again, I go back to what I was saying early on about when I was doing my 10 minutes. It's all a mental thing. We convince ourselves that we can't get out of the wallowing in the pit, and even the food's right there, we can see it. We convince ourselves, oh, it's so far, I can't do that. We convince ourselves that we can, but in actuality, we have all the capabilities. It's just our mind telling us that we can't. And like, I've proven that to myself. 2020 was my year of wallowing. Hell, I think a lot of us wallowed in 2020. We didn't know what the hell to do, okay? We was all just kind of spiraling. I just so happened to have this other life event going on, as did you. Like, we both had our own life stuff on top of everything else that was happening. So it was a year where I laid down in that mud pit and I just wallowed all around. But that's not who I am. That's not who I am at my core. And so 75 Hard has given me that mental toughness back that I used to be. I hate the no excuses thing. I hate using that terminology, but really no excuses for myself, that I'm going to find a way to do something. And this will be the first place that I announce this. I know I've told you and Wildman knows, but 75 Hard doesn't just stop at 75 Hard for me. There's phase 1, there's phase 2, there's phase 3. And once phase 3 is complete, that's considered the Live Hard program. It's an entire year of 75 Hard. And I've dedicated to do that. Like, that's what I want to do. I have gotten to the point where I must push myself, because I know the personal development, the growth, the change, it comes from getting out of the comfort zone and getting into the uncomfortable. And so I know with the big goals and dreams that I have for myself 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's going to require that I push myself and that I learn to back off in the areas where I'm pushing too hard.
Yes. Girl, that's the big lesson I've learned in mine so far. I came out guns blazing, and anybody that hasn't seen all of the things I'm doing, just hop over to livinglavitalowcarb.com/sabbatical, STAY sabbatical, like sabbatical, except stay. And I've got all of the posts that I've done. It's intense, all the things that I'm doing, but by design. I wanted it to challenge me. I wanted it to push me harder. And it has. And I came out guns blazing doing all those things. And lo and behold, 4 days later, I woke up and I could not move. And then like I did 3 more days, and then again, and so I'm adjusting along the way, so I don't have to have that kind of a please recuperate my body kind of day. Now I know you don't get those with 75 Hard, but yeah. I'm learning to still push harder and push myself, but not to the point of detriment. And there is that tricky balance. And of course, we're talking a lot about a physical thing, but this applies in a lot of different ways. Physically pushing yourself too hard, your body's eventually going to say, okay, whoa, we're going to make you. And you've experienced some of that, and you've adjusted. You haven't stopped, but you've adjusted. And what was that one day that you could just barely even move? And so you're just like, I'm just going to do this. That's all I can do. And that's what I'm going to do. And you did. And that's pushing yourself harder, because you would have the excuse, well, my back hurts. I can't physically walk. So what am I going to do? And so you've been an inspiration to me to make those modifications and listen to my body and adjust. Because see, the alternative is stopping altogether. And to me, that's not an option, because the moment you stop is the moment you develop a habit of stop. And the moment you keep going and you push harder is the moment you create a habit of going forward? How much of our lives have we hit some little adversity and bam, just stop because of the adversity? What would have happened to our brain noodles had we kept going, pushing harder, even if it was a lot less intensity or whatever, but still kept going? We would learn that when things get hard, you don't quit, you carry on. And that's your push harder in that moment.
We're so used to not pushing harder, and we're so used to breaking our promises to ourselves that we can't trust ourselves anymore. And I know that's where I was. But the more you push yourself when it's hard, and you push harder and you go more, the more you're keeping your promises to yourself, and you begin to trust yourself again, and it becomes second nature. So when I started 75 hard, I said, no way in hell am I doing phase one. Y'all crazy. Not happening. Well, then I got about 20 days in. I said, oh yeah, I'm doing phase one and also phase two. No problem. Got that. Phase three, hell no, ain't doing that. Nope. Goes right through my 30th birthday. No, not doing that. And lo and behold, within the last few days, I was like, I can't not do that. I can't not do that. I must push myself. I have kept my promises to myself over and over and over every single day for 59 days straight. I can't stop now. And what a birthday present it would be to myself to continue to keep that promise to myself on my 30th birthday. What would that say for me to keep that promise?
Yes, when you turn old, you want to feel good. So I joke with her because I'm turning 50, so I'm one to talk. So yes, yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's great. And you just outlined something really interesting on this pushing yourself harder. When you do, you open your mind to, I can do anything. And when you get to that point in your head where you feel like the sky's the limit, you can do anything. When you hit that 10-minute mile today, you're like, I can do anything. It's so empowering. And then it manifests in other parts of your life that when you have that empowerment, and we both have had great weight loss success stories before, like when you've hit that 100 pounds lost, like there's just such an empowerment to that you feel that you have this sense of accomplishment that you can do anything. And then it shows up in your confidence, and it shows up in other areas of your life that then people notice. It's maybe not even the physical changes they notice. They notice, wow, you just present yourself in a different way. And it's because you were willing to push yourself harder.
Confidence is something that it doesn't come from within you. Like you have to create that. Confidence is not just something that you're born with. Like you have to create confidence within yourself by keeping your promises to yourself and pushing yourself harder and doing the things. And we've been pushing a lot in this episode talking about physical things, but taking it another route, let's go writing, for example. So I was pushing myself. I had a deadline because I work very good with deadlines. And this is where knowing when to back off, writing has helped me learn that and hone that skill. I'm still baby Brittany in this area. So I was doing, and things were coming easier. It was good. And it was great. And then I just hit this roadblock. And I would come in here and I would stare at my screen because I convinced myself that if I just stare at my screen long enough, something will happen. Something will come. And I would stare and I would stare and I would stare. And because I was trying to push harder, right? Laugh away. Yeah, I was trying to push harder, right? I'm going to push myself. Something's going to come up. And finally, I remember just breaking it down to Jimmy one day. And he's like, leave the room. Go out. Just get out. And so I did. I got out. I actually got out for a couple of days, which is outside of my comfort zone because I want to push. But I backed off. And when I finally hit, I actually, because of my back, have taken 2 weeks off of writing. What that has done up here. Oh, it's been a battle. But when I got back to it yesterday, it just flowed. It just kept coming. I couldn't stop. I just kept going. And so that's when you have to know when to push yourself and when to back off, because sometimes in backing off, just like you did physically, the next day that comes after that, you have the energy to push even harder.
Let's go back to when I injured my ankle on Saturday. Let's say Sunday, I went out on the trail because by golly, I got to push harder, and I limped my way through a 60-minute workout. Would I have felt as good as I did Monday? No. I wouldn't have. Monday, I got back out there and I was like almost all the way better. I would say I was probably 95% of what I was. And I had a pretty bad, majorly twisted left ankle, and it's still tweaked a little bit now, but I'm able to put weight on it. I climbed stairs to kind of test the weight on it. And I was like, all right, I can feel it, but it's not painful. It's just like, all right, it's annoying, but it's there. It would have been easy to say, well, I got to push harder. And by the way, I'm proud of you that you took that time off that you did. As a writer of 9 books, I can tell you that's normal. That's part of the process. And I was giving you some of that feedback as well. It's like, writers don't write every day and they're not machines, and you're trying to be a machine with this. And you learn the lesson of when to back off so that when you are ready to come back, you push harder, and you had excellent. I haven't had a chance to look at the 2 entries you sent me, but I know they're going to be bang up because it was like back to back. You were pumping it out. And when it's flowing, when you're a writer and you've got that going in your blood, you don't lose that. You run with it. In fact, you were like, I got 2-3 more in me, but I got to go do other things in my life. And it's cool. Like when you get that. And so completely normal. And that recharge, let's kind of focus on that when you should not push yourself harder. That recharge that you get for you intellectually and emotionally in your head and everything, so you can be ready to write, that is just as important as the pushing yourself and the writing itself. Think about the gym. When you go to the gym and you work out those muscles, you're not going to go back to the gym the very next day and work those same muscles. You've got to let those muscles rest, recuperate, grow, get stronger. And that's what happened for you in your writing. Was over that 2-week period, you allowed that rest in your mind. And you had some stuff happening in your life and other things, but you let that rest happen in your mind so that by yesterday, you were ready to go. You were ready to push. You were going to push yourself because you're like, all right, I got this. Let's go, Brittany. And you did it.
Yeah, and I think that's a big lesson for me, and maybe anybody watching or listening. Maybe you're like me. Okay, it's not hard for me to push harder. I don't quit kind of person until I do. And then when I quit, I commit. I just quit all the way. We're quitting. Oh gosh, like last year in my life, I just all the way, we're quitting. But it's all or nothing for me, and it always has been that way, but that is where I'm learning that it doesn't have to be all or nothing, that I can push myself, and I can also learn and be comfortable with backing off when I need that rest. I think about my back for the past, gosh, it's been 3 weeks now, and I had to I had to stay out of my home gym. I couldn't lift weights. There was things that I couldn't do. I'd be so frustrated. I'd go in there. I'd try to lift a little bit, try to do this or this or this. And it would always result in me walking. And I'd get so frustrated. But I took 3 weeks of mostly doing nothing but walking for my 2 exercises or my 2 workouts per day. If I had not done that, there is no way that, number one, I would have been able to finish 75 hard. If I kept pushing myself, I would have injured my back to the point where I couldn't move at all. So I had to back off. And in that backing off, then I was able to go into the gym the last 3 days and absolutely kill it. But I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not backed off.
And finding that balance between backing off so that you can recuperate, so you can push harder and hit it hard, or backing off and then never starting back again. That's the day when you back off. There is a very great temptation to continue back off and to get back in the wallow mode again, like the pig in the mud, and forget about that there's greener pastures over there that's got nice things. And in this case, goals of physical change, mental change, proving to yourself you can do something. Like, that's been the funnest part of my journey, is I had to remind Jimmy Moore he's pretty cool, and that he's capable, that he's not thrown away. Like, if I'm being real vulnerable and honest, I feel like I don't have a place anymore. And I know it sounds weird. Yes, I still podcast. Yes, I still do all my work, but some days I go, where do I fit anymore? I'm the fat keto guy. Like, what do I do with that? And so that is kind of a motivational factor for me to push harder now. so I don't feel that way. And so I do something about it. But I also feel a little bit of, damn it, why do I have to push so hard when other people, it seems to come easier for them? And I'm pushing harder, and I'm barely trying to keep up with what comes easy for other people. What the fuck? That's kind of what's in my head.
And we got to go there. This is one step deeper. We have to go there because I know there's so many people listening that are here. Of why do I have to push so much harder than that person? That person, it's easy for them. And like, I have been there. I was literally there today, crying, going, why won't my body change? Why won't this happen? Why won't this happen? Why? All the way. And then, I was actually writing one of the pages. I haven't sent it over to you yet. And I was like, why did this happen? This is a brain place that I used to be. Why did that happen to me as a kid? Why? Why did I have to go through this? And I've asked myself this. Why is a dangerous question. It can open many doors, but it also can lead you down to a spiral of why do I have to do this? We got to get out of that. We do this. You and I have been given the unique opportunity. If we allow ourselves to go here in our mind, we've been given the unique opportunity of we do have to push harder than everybody else. But you know what that means? We're going to get further than everybody else, because when it comes easier, it doesn't last. When it's hard and you don't quit, that's when it fucking lasts.
It lasts, and you're stronger than everybody. Like, again, being very vulnerable here, I feel like I have been made to feel weak in my community. And I'm doing this 100-day thing partly to say, screw your weak. I'm going to show you what weak is. Bring it.
Yeah.
And even if nothing changed physically, it is just like you're doing a great job. And I can see in your picture changes that changes are happening for you, and changes are happening for me very quickly. I'm only at this a couple weeks, and I'm already seeing some differences. So that's cool. And the shirts are starting to fit like looser and everything. And so it's good things are happening, and you've experienced similar things despite kind of a little bit of the brain messing with you about the scale for a little while. I knew things were happening because your body composition was changing. And I feel like I've got something to prove, and to prove that I am stronger than those people where it comes easy. Like, I'm kind of glad it doesn't come easy, Brittany, if I'm being honest, because it makes me push harder to show how much stronger I am than those people that don't have to work as hard.
Right. So I want you, I feel like you and I have talked about this privately, but I want to talk about it on the podcast. So David Goggins' book, guys, I love David Goggins. He talks about something that he created for himself. He calls it the cookie jar. You can call it whatever you want to if you're not comfortable calling it a cookie jar. I just prefer to call it the same thing he does. So he took the horrible physical beatings that he went through as a kid, the awful things that he went through, losing people over and over and over again, the difficulties, everything that would hit him in life. He put it in the cookie jar, and he would pull it out as fuel when he was on his 100-mile runs. I had to tap into that today when I was on my 10-mile. 10 mile. Yeah, that's looking into the future there, Brittany. My 10-minute mile. We'll get there. But when I was on my run this morning, I had to dig into my cookie jar. And so every time someone says some bullshit to you, Jimmy, you can delete it. You can obviously protect yourself from that. But everything that you read, because you don't forget it. You know everything that's ever been said to you. Those things don't leave. I know the very few negative comments I ever got, they're all right here. They may be deleted and blocked, but I still have those. And instead of letting them fester and cause a problem, they get put in the cookie jar with the lid on, and I get to access those anytime that I need them. And that's when I go, I need to prove it. Fucking watch me do this. And I open up the freaking cookie jar, and I pull out, and I remember what my stepfather did to me. I remember all the hard things that I've been through. I remember the surgery. I remember crawling my way to my bed, not being able to stand. I remember all those things, and I use them as fuel, going, look where I am now. And anybody that ever has some bullshit to say to me, I almost beg for it. Please give me the motivation to prove you wrong. Please give it to me. Say the negative things, talk the bullshit. I don't care anymore. I'm going to just tuck it in my cookie jar and pull it out for later. And I know that's hard, but I hope that's where you get with all that shit people say your way. Because I hate it too. I hate watching it. You're my friend. I hate seeing the things that are said to you and even other people in the community. It's disgusting. But just log it away. I'll use that later. Thank you for the fuel.
Yeah, and it definitely. Thank you for that, by the way. Love you, so appreciate that. And it does. I in fact, on my live today that I did on my update, there was a hater on live. I'm like, really? Like that takes balls to come onto a live video of somebody actively walking and talking about a journey, and then like mocking. They were actually mocking the element electrolytes. I was saying, oh, that's so toxic for you. All right. I kind of went after him a little bit.
I'm like, let me out. Let me tell my story.
Come here, bruh. Actually, I'm a girl, so come here, sister. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that I think it makes or breaks you. Like you can push yourself harder and overcome the adversity, or you can say, well, the adversity is too much for me to handle. Therefore, I'm not going to push hard and go after what I want. And this is where I think grounding yourself in what's the bigger reason why you're doing what you're doing. What's your why, as you like to say a lot. What is the thing that drives you to do this? What was the primary driver for you with 75 Hard?
Oh, I had to get back to me. I had to get my mental state back to where I was before the hospital. Yes. And that included the mental toughness that I had already developed after losing 70 pounds.
Yes.
And doing it on my absolute own. Like I had to get there again.
Yeah. And I would say mission accomplished, because I've watched you through your whole 75 Hard journey. And on your hardest days, there was one day you had not even done your first workout. And it was like 5 o'clock because it was such a crazy day for you. But you got it. You got the first work in like right at like 5, 6 o'clock. And then the second one in at 11 o'clock. And I was like, whoa, talk about like by the nick of your chinny chin chin getting it all in. But you did, because you were committed to it, because you've built that mental toughness that you desired for yourself. And you've always had it. But now your physical body's kind of catching up to the mental that you've long had. And I fed off of you a lot as well. And it's really made me stronger through this process. And by the way, did you ever actually get a cookie jar and put things in? I know you and I talked about that. Have a jar and then you just pull it out. And then once you kind of see that, and then you like burn it or I forget what we said, do something with it, maybe eat it. I don't know.
I have a cookie jar. I did buy a cookie jar and it's really freaking cool, but I haven't put anything in it yet, but I am working on it.
Yes. That's great. Like I love visuals. You do too. And so if you've got a visual, and plus look at what you're teaching your girls, like showing them that when you feel like you need to push harder and you need that motivation, look, we're gonna have stuff in the cookie jar and we're just gonna pull it out. And mommy made me clean my room today and that made me mad. Okay, well, let that motivate you today to go clean your room again, because we're not gonna write that on the piece of paper ever again.
Yeah, one of the other books that I was reading, The Art of Impossible, I've got it right here. Show it. I think I've showed this one last week or one of the recent weeks. Yeah. He talks about stacking your motivations and having multiple things that motivate you, because motivation is fickle. We know this. When it comes to pushing yourself, you have to have the drive, and just to have those different things. The cookie jar metaphor is a great one, and just having these whys that push you to keep going. Yeah, kids are definitely one for me, and being an example to them, and not just an example to them, but I have put myself in a position that I enjoy. It's not about accolades, but I have people in my life, people like you, people like my husband, and more recently has been brought to my attention, my dad, that what I'm doing, whether I'm doing it for anybody else or not, which I'm not, I do it for me. By doing things for me, I am motivating and inspiring the people around me, which makes me want to push even harder.
Yes. Yes, because when you push harder, then they have to push harder to keep up with you.
Good luck.
Well, sweetie, I think you've met your match in me because I will keep up with you. Oh, what a great episode. Episode 40, guys. Yes. Push yourself harder. You know how to do that. And know when to back off. And it's that balance, and you'll figure it out. Like, don't be afraid to mess up. The last thing you want to do is do nothing and continue to wallow like the pig and always stay in the mud and never get anywhere. That's not an option. I hope that became abundantly clear in today's episode. Finish this up here.
Oh, thank you guys for being here. OneStepDeeperPodcast.com is where you can find all the episodes there every week, Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. YouTube is where all the brand new episodes air. After that, same day, Facebook and Instagram, both of those, they're up on IGTV and Facebook. You can type in One Step Deeper Podcast and the episodes will appear for you. And then on Mondays, which is where I was going, Mondays, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, ALEXA, you can listen to the audio version of the podcast there. And finally, just as Jimmy said earlier in the show, leave us a review. Thank you for all of the reviews that are just the stars. We love those too, but give us a couple of lines. Let us know what you're thinking of the podcast. And thank you for all your support. I've gotten a lot of messages this week just thanking us for everything that we do. And the most recent episode, I think it was talking about risk, the most one. It's been a couple episodes since we recorded it. I just got so much feedback on that one saying that was a really great episode. So we love hearing from you guys. But every time you send them privately to me and Jimmy, put those over on the reviews as well. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I'm getting a ton of feedback from YouTube viewers and on my Instagram page. It's cool. It's cool when you make a connection with people. And when you do a mindset show like this, how do you not connect with people? So it's been a lot of fun, guys. Thank you so much for being here this week. Miss Brittany, I will talk to you on the phone here soon. And we'll see you guys again next week.
OneStepDeeperPodcast.com.
So you guys know I've been doing 75 hard, right? One of the requirements for this is drink a gallon of water per day. I still find myself needing a little extra boost and a little bit more electrolytes to fuel all of these workouts I've been doing. And that's why I'm super excited to be partnered with Element right now on the One Step Deeper podcast, because I am needing all the electrolytes and they are providing life for me right now. They sent me this amazing package, guys. Look. What? We got watermelon, we got orange, we got raspberry, and my personal favorite is citrus because listen, it reminds me of margarita, and during 75 hard, you can't have those, so I'm telling you, this stuff is giving me life. So if you're interested in trying them for yourself and getting some great electrolytes, you can go to drinklmnt.com/Jimmy, and there you can get a free sample. All you have to do is pay the shipping. Hope you enjoy. Remember, just as Element says, stay salty.
Real Good Foods is one of the fastest growing frozen food companies in the U.S. Everything they make is nutrient dense, high in protein, low in carbs, and made from real food ingredients. They make food for every occasion: breakfast sandwiches, poppers, enchiladas, entrees, and pizza. So whether you're on a keto diet, trying to cut back on your carbs, or just trying to eat healthier, they make super convenient and tasty options. RealGoodFoods.com and @RealGoodFoods on social media.